it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you, bitch, always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality, is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders. Now we ain't getting posterized, we out here making posters. And we ain't got nothing to hide, we move forward like soldiers. You better wake up for the pay stub, or you'll pay up. Don't make love to the game, bro.
Hey guys, Coach Dan here. We are week number 1 of the cut, workout number 2. But who's counting? This is lower body workout, the first lower body workout for the week, which you would probably call a quad dominant workout. Let's go over the agenda for the day. Ooh, just on a quick note, triceps, chest, feeling it from yesterday. That was a good one. Go back and check that one out if you're interested in some tricep and chest stuff, or just push workout in general. So on the agenda today, hack squat. So we're going to hit some big boy hack squats. I was listening to some rap music on the way over here, so I'm going to try and channel that aggression. I do a top set of my hack squats and then a couple back off or lighter sets. I like that because I still want to try and lift heavy, even though it's not my goal. I find it fun. So a top set of about 6 to 8, and then I back it off for about 8 to 15 reps for the final 2 sets. So that will kind of get me pretty jacked up. And what I've been pimping for the last, 4 to 6 weeks or so for exercise number 2 is a glute dominant leg press, which I'll show you as well, which is a feet high on the platform to try and target the glutes so we get more hip flexion and not as much knee flexion, and potentially biasing it a little bit towards the glutes. Then we hit some seated hamstring curls, so getting those bulgy hamstrings, leg extensions, classic quad isolation exercise, machine adduction, so working some of the adductors. And then of late, I've been doing a superset with my calves and abs to finish, so 4 sets of each of those. But I do want to change a ab exercise, so I'll probably sub that out. And actually, I think our leg press that I've been doing my calves on is Kaputski, so we'll have to find an alternative there, which I'm just realizing now, to be honest with you. So that's the full agenda. Feeling good. We are, like I said, this is just day 2 of my cut. We're thinking about doing this for about 9 or 10 weeks, at maybe losing about half a kilo of body weight per week. And the goal with the weight training is to kind of support that and make sure I am not losing muscle as I try and lose fat. So that's the goal. So it means we still have to try hard in the gym. We have to do a few extra steps. We have to change some food choices and things like that. But at the beginning, there's nothing too major. So usually it starts off pretty smooth, and then sometimes it gets more difficult, although I'm not taking it to an extreme level. It's only 9 or 10 weeks, so it should be pretty good all the way through. And with my experience of doing it in the past, I feel pretty good about it. So it's a funny feeling dealing with hunger and stuff again, though, so that should be interesting. All right, enough jibber jabber. Let's hit hack squats. Let's get ready for a big session. All right, hack squat first. So hack squat, probably for me, best quad exercise, at least my perception or my feeling after doing the hack squat feels like I've worked my quads the best other than any other quad exercise I do. Leg press I really like, belt squat I really like, but the hack squat's still probably the GOAT. So a couple of things that I do on the hack squat is I've got these yoga blocks here, and the yoga blocks just allow for a little bit extra range of motion for this particular hack squat. If I were not to use them and get to the bottom, I kind of cap out the depth because I'm not very tall. The other things that I have are some weightlifting shoes, which elevates the heel, which helps me get more knee flexion as well. Technique-wise, or setup, initially, I set my feet relatively low on the platform, as low as they can be without the heels peeling off the ground when I squat. So there's a logo here. So I set the top of my toes at logo. Toes out for me, again, is helpful to get to a good range of motion. We tuck in here, up we come. We control the down phase, so 1 to 2 seconds on the way down. Gentle tap at the bottom, driving up. So being that I'm working up to a decent weight for my first set, I'll take 3 or 4 sets to build up, not to get any fatigue, but just to feel my legs and feel my body be ready for that weight instead of jumping straight to that heavy weight. So that's an important thing to keep in mind when lifting heavy. General warm-up or a specific warm-up on the exercise might take a little bit more time. So a couple of sets, add a plate, add a plate, add a plate, add a little bit, get close to the weight, make sure you feel ready to go, and then we hit it. All right, speaking of hitting it, let's go. Quad dominant hack squat, and now we move to the glute dominant leg press. So I actually do leg press on 2 days per week. So this day is we're trying to make it more about the glutes, and on day 2 of the lower body we make it more about the quads. The glute leg press versus the quad leg press looks significantly different. So when I want to do leg press for my quads, just like on the hack squat, my feet will be low, toes pointed slightly out. I'll wear my weightlifting shoes, which have the elevated heel, to allow lots of knee flexion. But it's also how I basically am in contact with the machine, right? So because the contact of the machine here with me is at my foot will come down here, my knee will eventually be up here. This will make it quad dominant. We call that a moment arm, and the larger that moment arm, the harder or the more torque is required to extend the knee, and therefore the muscles that extend the knee have to work harder. So if I make this about my glutes, I go feet high, toes straight. That could be slightly out as well. That's probably not a main issue. We push up. And now what you'll see is that by the time I get to the bottom, my knee is pretty much on my chest, which means that's pretty much full hip flexion. And where now the weight is associated with me is coming down here, and that's essentially in line with the knee, making it easy to extend the knee and harder to extend the hip. So the moment arm for the hip is larger, and therefore the glutes hopefully will get a better stimulus or more work. And that's that for the leg press. Let's build up our weight and smash it out. Feeling good so far, energy level's great. The leg extension. So now we've already done a decent amount of quad work up until now. Quads got smashed on the hack squat. They worked on that leg press as well. But what doesn't happen on those movements is one muscle of the quads being a
a group of 4 muscles essentially running through the front of your leg or your thigh and extend your knee. But one of them also helps to flex your hip. So it sort of comes up in here to the hip. So when it comes to leg presses, squats, all these kinds of things, because one of the jobs at one joint and the job at the other joint is opposing essentially for the rectus femoris, which is a muscle through the leg. So its job is to extend the knee, but its job is also to flex the hip. So when I go down into a squat, I'm flexing the knee and flexing the hip, and then I extend the knee and extend the hip. So they're kind of opposing each other. So the main kind of role of this one here is to challenge that rectus femoris muscle. Some other factors that I will do, some other things that I'll do a little bit uniquely is I'll use these, these are yoga blocks that I strap to it, and I use those on the hack squat as well. That will help push my foot back this way, getting more knee flexion. The other thing I do is I take the backrest all the way back. I'm not very tall, but that will help open up the hip and make it more essentially stretching the rectus femoris. The other thing is I'll crank this all the way this way, and again getting that nice amount of knee flexion, full extension of the knee, control the way down, gentle tap, full extension. So you don't have to do this necessarily in every program, but might be worth having around every so often to make sure that we get that rectus femoris working, because it doesn't get a lot of love on those other movements. All right, let's go. We only do 2 sets here. We're doing this a little out of order. Normally we do the hamstrings next, but that wasn't available, so we'll start here. Let's go. Hamstring curls next, so we're doing the seated variety today. So a good thing about the seated variety is that it kind of gets you in this pre-stretch position. So when I put the legs all the way up, it gets me in this kind of sit and rich stretch position, and that stretch is potentially making it more effective than the lying hamstring curl on the hamstring. It doesn't make that one redundant, it just makes this one potentially a little bit more effective for the hamstrings. So we crank this up as high as it can. For this particular machine, this is just below the knee, that's on the back of the ankle to kind of lock the lower leg, and then we're heels to butt. Control the way up, feel that nice stretch, heels to butt. Now towards the end of this, what you'll notice on this machine is that I'll start to do some calf reps, because essentially my strength and the resistance of the machine is such that it's quite hard down here, but I can still get a few more reps in there. So I'll start off as many as I can, touching the bottom of the machine. When I can't get there anymore, I'll go to halves. We call those length and partials. Potentially a way to get that little extra stimulus, and it feels effective. Next up, we're going to do our ab work first, just due to availability. Normally I would do the machine adduction in this part here, but I'm going to go abs first just because of availability. So of recent times I've been doing the machine abdominal crunch, but I've been finding that with the elbow pads here, I'm kind of just pulling down with my arms, and I did this one as a little practice round and I quite like it. So this is going to be a abdominal cable crunch. The way in which I've set it up on this cable machine is I'm basically going to put my butt up against this post here. This gets pulled down to place my arms on my head. I'm kind of getting here and then crunching in like this. So keeping my butt on the post gives me stability and something to kind of keep me still. So I'm not just relying on, me getting pulled up. I can kind of lean into that. And I find that feels really effective. I liked this one before. So I'm going to reintroduce it, see what weight I'll be lifting, and then we shall begin. We've got a few sets here, and then we can head back to that machine adduction. Okay, so the pin-loaded leg press, out of order, that's the one I've been doing more recently. I like that one because it's quite easy to set up. For this one, you've got to get plates over, blah, blah, blah. But it is very effective. It's not a lot of stress on the body overall because essentially we just have to sit here and use the calves. There's not a really heavy weight on us like a Smith machine might be or something like that. So it is a good exercise. And I found it to be very effective. It's just, you got to put the plates on, stuff like that. So less efficiency potentially, but pretty straightforward. We take half the foot, half your foot, and we put it on the platform. Now, if you get too tippy-toe-ish, like down here, that'll make it really hard to produce any force. If you're too far up here, it'll be really hard to go through any kind of range of motion. So half the foot on, or if you think about at least having the ball of your big toe, so if this is your big toe, having the ball on there the whole time is probably a worthwhile practice. And what you'll find sometimes with some leg presses is that as the set goes on, you get a little bit slippy and you slide off. So feeling free to shuffle back on, reset, and then start again so we can continue to produce that force. And that is the leg press calf raise. Nothing to it. This leg press is quite good. We have 2 leg presses here because there's nothing under here, so no limit to range of motion. We get a good stretch in the calves, and that's a good thing. We're coming towards the end of the workout, so we've got this, few sets, adduction, which I missed from earlier because it was unavailable, 2 sets, and then we are done. Let's go. Cap things off with some machine adduction. So this is something I've added in the last couple of months. So adduction meaning bringing the legs towards yourself. This machine has 2 functions where we push out, abduction or abduction, and then when we push in, adduction. So this might sound obvious, but the adduction's purpose is to work the adductors, which run through the inner part of your thigh. And essentially that's something that has been missing from my training for a while, and I thought, might be good to add it in. Quads, I get a lot of work. Adductors, they would work on other things, but they never really get the love that they deserve. So we've added them in recently. So some pointers about this one is I'm going to take these pads out as wide as my flexibility or mobility will allow, and I'm going to lean back. And that's just going to help stretch out those adductors. And again, focusing on that length and position and how effective that appears to be for muscle growth. So essentially we'll get into position, drive the pads out till, for me, it's the second notch here, lean back, knees towards one another. And that's that. So we're doing 2 sets here. On this day I do the adduction, and on another day I do this same machine, but for a different rep range just to mix it up a little. So a bit of a focus area for me at the moment. Okay, let's get after it.
Okay, that's a wrap on the workout, guys. Pretty happy with that. I would say a highlight from that workout was the hack squats. They were good. They feel effective. Hack squats always kill me, I reckon, for me personally. I don't think this has to be the case for all people, but that feels like the most effective exercise for quads. You just get off of that and they're just blasted, you know what I mean? Leg press, belt squat, like all those, but the hack squat for me is the GOAT. So wouldn't say it all went pear-shaped after that. Leg press, all these things went pretty well. And then, you know, things had to get thrown out of order a little bit just due to the busyness of the gym. So that sometimes happens, but all in all, we're happy with that. So again, it's only day 2 of my fat loss phase, so we just keep rolling with this. We keep trying to hold on to our performance as much as we can. We keep trying to progress where possible. We don't just kind of give into the fact that we're not getting as much food as we might want or need. There is a sort of an outcome that we're after, but part of that outcome is kind of holding on to muscle mass, which means trying hard in the gym even when you don't really feel like it. So that's how we got to get it done, right? This is not always the most enjoyable part, but the results are quite noticeable versus like a muscle gain phase. It's kind of like you actually see things changing, people comment, all that kind of stuff, and that can be rewarding and feed the beast in itself. So that's a good thing. All right, as always, guys, it'd be much appreciated if you could click on the little man here if you've made it this far, subscribe, like, do all the good stuff. There's another video up here for you if you want to see how I'm training some of the other muscle groups. You can kind of check that out and go from there. And as always, it's about progress over perfection. Coach Dan, signing off.